Yo, guys, welcome back to the show. I am caffeinated and ready to roll this morning. Had a nice Bible journaling, Bible study this morning. I've been firing on all cylinders for a while. Looking forward to getting into the show today. Got Keith here with me. New topics, new days. And I just hit Keith with a little observation I had in my heightened senses this morning. You know, I've just feeling good and moving throughout the day, and heard that I'm told it's a Fleetwood Mac song about seeing my reflection in the snow-covered hills, and the landslide brings me down. I just realized if the hills are snow-covered, that's an avalanche. It's not a landslide. Two completely different things. That's my you'll never be able to hear that song the same again.
I think
Sorry.
I think the problem with your logic is that you're seeking logic in music lyrics.
Yeah, for sure.
That's really the problem.
That's
is
really
that
the
you're
problem.
Seeking logic in music lyrics, and really what they're trying to do is just rhyme.
Some of my favorite songs, I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. That doesn't make any sense at all.
Well, today we're gonna kind of do some one-offs here. We don't have a series coming up, so we're gonna do a little one-off. We're gonna talk about some agape love today. I think we talked about it before, but we're gonna take a little bit different approach to it today. But I have a question for you, Mitch.
Yeah, buddy.
Now you seem like a easygoing kind of guy, right? But tell me about a time where you went somewhere. Could be a restaurant, could be a retail store, could be an experience that you had with something, but you were there and you just had that thought of, I'm never coming back here again. Like your service was bad or the experience was so bad, you're like, I can't, I'm never coming back here again.
Yeah. So I have an example for you. I also think there's probably a lot of things like this, but I don't think it's them, it's me. Does that make sense? Like right. there's probably I'm trying to come up with a good example that's like, it's not them, or it is them. Like the problem is the thing, right?
Sure.
Like I had an expectation that they should have met and they completely failed. Write them off. I'm done. Normally it's just, oh, I was wrong. I had the wrong expectation, right?
Sure.
Like,
yeah, I could see that.
You know, or lots of people love it. I don't.
Yeah.
That's a me thing, not, you know.
Sure.
Anyway.
Like, you got to try this restaurant. It's so good. And then you try it and you're like, nah.
Yeah.
Not really that great.
But I want to shout out Tasty Thai in Liberty. Love this place. Okay.
You do love that place.
Love Tasty Thai. It's
not
great.
a sponsor.
Not a sponsor. Should be. Love Tasty Thai. I was a Tasty Thai hater for like 10 plus years because I went there once, probably 10 or 12 years ago, and I love pad thai. And the menu was slightly confusing, void of pictures, and not as descriptive as I would like. I was immature in my Thai food experiences. I knew I liked pad thai, so I go in and I ordered a pad thai, and I think it was 50% on them, on like their descriptions, and 50% on me in my infantile experience of Thai food.
Okay.
At that time, right? I'd been very limited exposure to the breadth of a menu at a Thai restaurant. So I think I misordered or was misdelivered to me the food I ordered.
You had an expectation of a certain meal and something else showed up.
I was expecting some pad thai, some great spicy noodles with some chicken in it, and some peanuts and a spicy sauce.
Yeah.
Some cilantro.
Sounds good.
A little bit of lime. Delightful, right? What I got was some noodles and some sauce wrapped up in what I can only describe as the largest omelet I've ever seen.
Yeah.
It was as if you beat together half a dozen eggs and poured them out real thin on a griddle.
Oh, like a crepe.
Like a crepe. a thin little pancakey, a crepe.
Not
right?
a creep, but a crepe.
A crepe. And when the egg cooked, you put the noodles in the middle and you just folded the
it
egg
over.
on top of
Interesting.
it. It was disgusting.
Really?
Did not like it.
It sounds kind of good.
And so that was, and the appetizer I had was my first ever experience with a spring roll, a cold spring roll in a rice wrap, which your first experience with those is very bizarre.
Yeah.
Because it seems like a non-food item to Westerners. This does not seem like a food item.
Interesting.
The insides do. They're identifiable. It looks like a salad. But the outside looks like a balloon, right?
Yeah,
like
yeah.
maybe
I
like
can't,
it might be
do
like
the seaweed wraps. Those things are terrible.
no.
to me.
I'm talking about the clear because
Yeah.
it's transparent,
Right.
right?
Yep.
Not a lot of foods can you see through. You know,
That's very true.
Jello. I think Jello's weird. I don't think Jello's a food.
Dude, stop. I love Jello.
I'm just not a
I
food.
love Jell-O.
It's
It's
just
so
not a
good.
food. It's not.
It's a dessert.
Anyway, so I am guilty of. I post that experience. I was like, yeah, not my jam, not my place. But I've had Thai food that I've liked before, so
Sure.
therefore I assumed it was their fault, not mine, and I didn't go back
Yeah. Interesting.
until I heard more and more and more people like, no, Tasty Thai's great. So then I was convinced it wasn't them, it was me, and I gave it a second try. Bada bing,
Bada bing.
love it.
Blammo.
Green chicken curry soup. I should go today.
You should. It
Can't-
sounds like you're a little
I think it's
jonesing for
I think it's the Monday special.
it.
With that was that a long enough answer?
That was a great answer because I like that answer because it's like you felt like you didn't have a good experience, but you went back. It's a very Mitch. It's a very Mitch.
Yeah,
answer.
it just took me a long time.
Yeah. I can't. I'm sure my wife could name off a dozen places that I've sworn off of going back to, but I can't really think about one. I've had definitely bad experiences, but
I don't like
seasoned
being.
enough.
I don't like being tricked. That's one thing that'll get me to write you off.
You know what? Now
The
I've
bait-
got a great example.
The bait and switch.
I do have a great example.
I don't like being tricked.
We had a slight bug problem, right? We were getting some creepy crawlies in the basement, right? And so shame on me. Door-to-door guy comes by and is like, "Hey, pest control company, blah 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 blah." Because I was talking to my neighbor about it. My neighbor's like, "Hey," he was saying that you might be interested in some pest control. I'm like, "Yeah." Now, the pest control company isn't the same one that my neighbor uses, but it's like an offshoot of them. Okay, so it's kind of the same stuff, right? And so I gave it a try. I was like, "Yeah, this sounds great." And the first visit, great experience, right? Like, ding, hey, we'll be there at 12, blah, 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 blah. Come in the house, do all the things, like cleared out some stuff in the garage, some cobwebs for me. I'm like, this is a great experience, right? And then by the second, third, fourth, it was just terrible, right? I'm pretty sure at one point, one guy came, sat in his car, and then completed the service and left. Like, didn't actually do anything.
Just close the ticket.
Just closed the ticket and charged me, right? Because we have cameras at certain points of our house, and they always go off when these guys come or when the lawn guys come, who I love. And like, he showed up. I was home, and I was like, great. When he starts, I'm gonna be like, hey, I need you to come in and spray inside the house. And so I saw him. Cool, he's there. 5 minutes later, I get an email. I'm done. I'm like, bro. Anyway, so this last time that I just had it, I was like, not happening. It's like all day we've been waiting. It's like a Saturday or Friday. Oh, it was a Friday. We had something to be at like 6:30, right? It's 6 o'clock. Bug guy still hasn't showed up. I'm there because I need him to come inside, right? And spray inside. And it's like 6:15 now, and I got to be somewhere at 6:30. So I call the place, and I'm like, hey, Well, actually, I texted them because they're big texters, and I'm okay with that. Texted them, hey, like, I guess you guys are coming tomorrow or whatever. And they're like, oh, no, no, no. Your contract says we can be there between sunup and sundown.
Oh.
And it's the summertime.
Hmm.
So it's like 5:30 in the morning till 9:30 at night, right? Is the sun, you know? And I'm like, this is insane. Like, why would you be at somebody at 9 o'clock at night, right? Like, and then magically, of course, after we leave, 15 minutes later, someone shows up to the house, right? Like, come on, don't be like that. And the guy was really nice over the phone and all that kind of stuff. But I just had to, like, I'm like, great starting experience, and then it just like
Poor follow through.
And so I call him up. I'm like, yeah, I'm not, what can we do to make it right? And normally I'm a big guy on that. Like, if you recognize that the issue's not me and it is you, I'll give you a chance to like make it up. But I was like, you know what, like, it's just not worth it. There's like a dozen bug guys I can call right now and get better service, you know. Anyway, so it's definitely someone I'll never use again ever. But it's interesting, and the reason that we're asking these questions and talking about this is it really gets into deeper in this concept of, in the world teaches you that you've got a record. You keeping a record, keeping a score, right? Think about in school, this is going on your permanent record.
Oh yeah.
Right?
That's
and you have
Ferris Bueller. It was
permanent record.
And where is my permanent record?
I don't
by the
know.
way?
I want to know.
We should do that.
We should find out where the permanent record
I want to get a copy
is
of it.
maintained. Now, I know in college they keep a record of your transcript.
Correct.
So I didn't really get in trouble in high school very much, so I don't know if that's in my permanent record.
There weren't notes on my
transcript.
That was like guy won't shut up. You know what I mean?
Great baseball player won't shut up.
No, then doesn't say anything about baseball in there either. Maybe won't shut up about baseball.
So the world teaches you to keep records, right? And
thinks he wants to play baseball, can't hit curveball.
Can't hit anything. And what's interesting is that what we read is that, so in 1 Corinthians 13, verses 4, love is patient, love is kind, it does not envy, it does not boast, it is not proud, it does not dishonor others, it is not self-seeking, it is not easily angered, it keeps no records of wrong, right? And so those 6 words of it keeps no records of wrong, love keeps no records of wrong, is an interesting portion of that, right? That 1 Corinthians 13, that verse is well known, huge in weddings, right? Probably some funerals in there too.
But nobody likes to dwell on those 6 words.
Those 6
Is that what
words.
you're saying?
Those 6 words. It keeps no records of wrong. Our world tells us that. So what I find interesting is, why don't we not keep records of wrong?
Well, I think the answer is somewhere in the middle here, because what's the definition of insanity, Keith?
Doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result.
Exactly. So I think the answer is somewhere between that and where we're headed, right? On why we, right? So I don't think that's wrong, the definition of insanity, right?
Okay.
I don't think using that as a guiding principle is bad living, right? Like, if I just kept walking into that door until my nose was broken and bleeding, right? Just thinking it should open out when it really opens in. That's not poor faith, or right. That's not living right. Okay. So I do think when you come to love and come to relationships, there is appropriate places for boundaries based on what you do and what you experience,
Mm-hmm.
and you shouldn't keep yourself in a situation that you continue to experience harm.
Oh,
Right,
for
right,
sure, for sure.
right. So-
yeah. And we're not
So-
saying that. We're not saying that love keeps no record of wrong. So if you are wronged in some way, you should ignore it
And keep getting wrong.
and keep getting
right?
wrong. Correct. That's
And that's
yeah. But what it's saying is that there's still, if you do something wrong to somebody, there's still probably some judgment and punishment to that, but that you should be able to let go of the right to retribution because of that. Right.
Don't hang
That's what
on.
you're saying.
Don't hold the grudge.
Right.
Right.
Don't hold the grudge.
Don't hold the grudge, but you could change your situation.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Remember on Monty Python where the guy the knight gets in the fight and keeps losing limbs.
Yeah.
And wants to keep fighting.
Keep fighting. Yeah.
And there's
And the guy's like, dude,
just give up.
Just give up.
Just
yeah.
stop.
Yeah.
Do something different. This is not.
Well, I think you and I are different in
We-
this.
oh, correct.
We're wildly different. in
Wildly
this.
different people.
I am a spiteful, vengeful individual. I'm not, but I am. I am a big person from a long time ago, and I've. It's taken me a long time to try to unlearn some of this. But I always had a rule growing up and in my early 20s and 30s was that if you did me wrong,
We're done.
I'm done. Like, done, right? And it's not that I may still harbor some ill will towards you, although I do at times, but that, and that doesn't mean like, hey, Mitch, you want to come help me move? Yeah, man, see you at 9, and then you don't show up. And I'm like, Mitch, what happened? You're like, oh, I totally forgot. Oh, we're done, right? I just mean if like something serious happened, I felt in the relationship, we're just done, right? And so we're kind of different in some of those situations, but I think there's like there's different kinds of how people approach love, right? And what we're trying to talk about is God love or agape love, this kind of unconditional love that just flows, right? Versus kind of our tendency in our human nature to either have reciprocal love, which is
It's kind of a wanting what is best for you, no matter, regardless of whether it has any bearing on what is best or preferred or desired for me.
correct. Yes, exactly.
It's kind of an independent.
It's an
love.
independent.
It's
an
actually
independent love.
getting.
So the boss that fired you, that you dislike with every fiber in your soul, you learn that they get a promotion, and you're like, good for him. That's agape love. You want the best for someone, irregardless of your own personal wants and desires and feeling, right? Like that you can still look at people and say, I don't necessarily like that person, but I want them to succeed, right? That's that kind of love that we want to kind of get to.
You don't want bad things to happen to people.
Correct. Period. But there's, I want to talk about kind of the worldly or the human aspect of it, which is reciprocal love. You love somebody that loves you. That's pretty easy. I love my wife. She loves me back. That's an easy kind of love to have. We talk about incentivizing love. Somebody does stuff for you, and then you're like, oh man, I love that guy. I love that guy. I love that Mitch guy. He comes over, helps me paint my house. He comes over and does this.
That's incentivizing. I think it's more like a coercion of like.
It is. It is a little bit.
Of like, oh yeah.
Like I'd love you more if you helped me paint my house.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Boy, I'd love it. I'd love you if instead of I would love it. Boy, it'd be great if you
did this.
Yeah.
Right.
No, boy, if you could earn my affection.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you have manipulating love, which is
Okay, that's kind of a coercion too.
it's more of a coercion. It's more of you're withholding love until X happens, right? And I think that
So what was our one before that?
you've got reciprocal incentivizing. So
Incentivizing.
it's not really that you're withholding love per se in the incentivizing, but it's the you tend to love somebody because of the things that they do for you, and you're not manipulating it. You're not saying, "Hey, if you want me to love you, I need you to do this," or "I'm going to withhold love from you until you do this." That would be manipulating love. But incentivizing love is more like, maybe it's more a little unconscious, where you're like, that Mitch guy, he's like whatever, he doesn't really do anything for me. But then, oh hey, this other Mitch guy is like great because he does all this stuff for me, right? I see it more as like tends to be unconscious, right? Anyway, and I think
so. It's kind of almost like subconsciously assigning more intrinsic value or worth to someone who serves your interests over someone who doesn't.
Correct.
Fascinating.
Now, I would ask you, I think you can all look at other people and be like, oh, they really dive into that manipulating love, or they really dive into that incentivizing love. And I know what your answer is going to be.
It's just fun.
But
it's fun to look at it this way with putting the perspective of putting it into the love framework.
Yes.
Right?
Yep. And I think that there's again, my thing is that there's like the reciprocating love, there's not really a problem with reciprocating love, except that if they're outside, if you're not interacting, if you don't want the best for somebody that also wants the best for you, that's not really that agape love that we're talking about, right? Like you're just reciprocating, and if that reciprocation stops, you're like, I could care less about that person, right? And so we're trying to lean towards and get towards that. But what do you feel sometimes that you fall into the worldly categories of, reciprocating, incentivizing, or manipulating love? Like, have you ever felt that way before in a moment in a relationship, not in the relationship as a whole, but like in the moment where you're...
Well, now that we're talking through it here, and you're explaining some of these different concepts. This is our first conversation around these.
Yes, we don't plan any of these episodes whatsoever.
We don't pre-conversate these. But now that we're talking this out, I think, when you first mentioned it, I was like, yeah, reciprocating. I get that, give and take, back and forth.
Yep.
Quid pro quo. That gets a little more negative, but the reciprocating is like, oh yeah, you're like, oh, that's a pretty easy one. The thing about that one is you don't know whether it's agape or reciprocation or vice versa right?
Sure. You could be,
it could be a full, truthfully honest, uncompelled, uncoerced, just genuine love, wanting the best for the other person, and they could just be reciprocating.
Sure.
Right?
Yes, for sure. But I think,
and then I think the coercion could come in is if, anyway, the inverse of that.
Yeah, I think that,
Maybe we should talk this one through ahead of time. I don't know. I'm going down all sorts of rabbit holes.
I think that I can tend to go down the reciprocating love more than not, where I can love somebody, want them to do the best, blah 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 blah, and then when they don't really respond to me in that way, then I'm like, You know what I mean? Like, I'm like, well, this relationship isn't worth the juice isn't worth the squeeze,
Big phrase right now.
right?
It's hot.
I want it to be known I've said that for a long
I
time.
know. I just wanted it to be known as a big phrase right now.
All the kids are saying it.
Yeah, it's kind of like gaslighting a couple years ago.
Gaslighting. Jeez.
Big phrase.
We talked about that.
You may have known what it meant for 20 years, but acting like you've used it for 20 years, that's the definition of gaslighting.
So I think I tend to go down reciprocating love, but I also can find myself sometimes in situations going to the manipulating love where it's like, oh, you're not going to do this for me? Well, I'm going to not do this for you until this happens, right? Like, and I can see myself initially, like, you know, when something happens to make you angry and that spark of anger, and then you're like, why am I this angry about this, right? And then you move on. I can see myself with that manipulating love, like,
now this is happening.
Well, now this is happening. Well, this is going to happen because of it, right? And then I tend to, once that spark dies, I tend to then go down to the reciprocating love, right? Well, then it's like, well, you're not doing this. Well, I'm not going to do this. And then it's like, wait a minute. Why do I, if they don't love me, why am I so into this, right? So almost for me, it's like a process, right? It's like a cycle. You know, I get a little manipulating love.
Yeah. What point in that process do you feel convicted that you're, you know, it takes a minute. You know, you're several layers in, and then you're like, oh, I'm a dirtbag.
Yeah. I think it depends on the situation. I think there's some relationships, there's some situations that have happened that it takes months to get through it, right? Where it's like manipulating for like months, where it's more like, and I want to be clear, I'm not like manipulating them to do stuff, but it's like, oh, you're not calling me anymore. Well, I'm not going to call you.
Yeah, and
I just want to see how long it takes.
Yeah.
For you to call me, so I'm not going to call you, right?
Yeah.
Months go by.
Because I'm the one who always does the calling.
Right, because I'm the one that always does the calling. And so I'm not going to call you, right?
Well, I've been accused of only why did I have? Which of us is it's offensive. But
you've been accused of what? Go ahead and say.
I've been accused of like only hearing from me if I need something. Well, that's not it at all. There's certain things that make me think of things, right? I get in situations like if I was, you know, having trouble smoking a brisket and I called you, was like, Keith.
Oh yeah.
I'd
answer that phone call.
You know, I'm having the brisket. Like, you might just very well be my foremost knowledgeable person on the brisket smoking, right?
Sure.
Sorry if that's you. You got to tell me.
Yeah.
Hey, Mitch, I'm not in this to give you
brisket
advice, right?
Yeah.
I want you to call, you know, you need to be forthright. You need to say, hey, I want you to call me and ask me about what, you know, 16th century poetry I'm reading right now, because that's really what I'd rather talk about. And then I'll be like, oh, okay. When I'm
16th century poetry,
when I'm interested in that topic, I will, you know. So
interesting.
But it's like, oh yeah, I heard. Yeah, well, I only hear from you whenever.
See, I thought
you
this
need
was going
something.
a different
I was like,
path.
well, yeah. You don't live in my house.
You are well known for getting invited to things that you don't come to. I thought that was the path we were going down. So,
well known in certain circles.
Well
and
known
that might
in
just
certain
be
circles.
yours.
That Mitch, you can invite Mitch, and he's very upfront. It's not like Mitch is telling people, "Yeah, I'll be there," and then doesn't show up.
No, because that would be what's the generation after us?
Oh,
we're millennials.
Z, X, Z. I don't know. Whatever.
What
the generation after us.
Those guys.
Anyway, Mitch is very much. He gives you two answers. You invite him something, and he's like, "Oh, I've got X, Y, Z to do. Can't be there." Or he'll say this. Well, that sounds like a lot of fun. You have a good time at that.
Enjoy yourself.
Yeah, enjoy yourself.
Yeah.
Which over time you learn to mean I'm not coming.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is great. Okay. But in this kind of manipulating love, I could be like, you know what? Mitch never comes to anything I ever invite him to. I'm not going to invite him again. Right?
That'd be great.
Instead of
That's a joke.
Still caring and showing love and being like, hey, we're still doing, like, still trying to include you, because one day you might show up, you know? And I think that is a really good example of what we're talking about today is in my example of, I can easily go down that path of like, hey, we had this strong relationship that we talked every day, and then something happened within the relationship, right? Either we moved apart physically, right? Like, you were my neighbor, we talked every day, you're not my neighbor anymore. You're calling me less and less, and now you're not calling me anymore.
Yeah.
Right. And what the heck? You're not calling me, I'm not calling you.
I think that's my either blessing or curse in this whole thing. Is I'm okay with all that. Right?
Yes, you are. I know.
I'm okay. And some people aren't.
Right.
And I think that's okay too.
Yeah.
See, I'm the okay guy. I think it's just fine. You're not a bad person if that upsets you. That's not my jam. That's not how I'm going to,
Yes.
But feelings are facts.
Mm-hmm.
That's how you feel.
That's how you
so
feel.
that's real.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you're going to need to process that, whereas I'm not.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
So,
and that's what I'm talking about with the cycle of like, that's how I process it.
Yeah.
Is
you're going to have to process it. I'm not.
Terribly, right? Through these different, kinds of loves where I process through like, oh, we're just not in a relation. We're not really close anymore, right? And that has taken me decades to learn, by the way, decades. I think that it has taken me until recent to figure out that it's okay to have
hopefully
situational friends.
Hopefully that's an influence I've had upon you.
Yeah, I think so.
Let's tie a bow on this thing, Keith.
I think this is a good conversation.
I think it's a great conversation. I feel slightly offended, but it's fine.
That's okay. You'll forget about it.
I know.
And you'll turn back to agape love.
I've actually moved on.
Yes. I would encourage everybody to think about this and think about in their relationships what you tend to do and how you can get more to this kind of love where you look at everyone and you care about everyone regardless of how it impacts you, and that you hope that everybody succeeds in life and has a great life, and
is the difference and has a connected life with their creator, and which brings us to Christian love is not a feeling, it's a choice.
It is.
It's a decision. You have to consciously make the decision to do it. You're not acting on just a feeling.
Yep. Perfect. We'll see you. Look, time's out.
Time's out.
Time's out. So we'll see you guys next week.